How's it going, everyone? I have with me Brian Harrington. He started investing in Bitcoin back in 2013. He's been buying consistently the entire time. And he actually broke down, well, he talked about his net worth. He talked about how he's approaching Bitcoin now, a magic number within Bitcoin that's like a really big, important number to hit, and a lot more. He's been putting money into something that's pretty exciting recently too, that's within Bitcoin, but it's not spot Bitcoin. So we'll get into that. I'm going to have him linked underneath the video. So this will be going up to YouTube, but it's going to my Telegram first because at the time of this recording, I'm actually kicked off YouTube. So if you want to join the Telegram, you can check it out underneath the video. It's completely free. So if I get kicked off YouTube again, you can see videos like this, which are really cool. Also, I'll leave Brian linked underneath the video. He has a channel as well where he goes into a lot more depth than what we talk about today. And if you want to trade crypto, you can check out BY can start trading in just a few minutes. At the time of this recording, we're doing a deposit bonus, but maybe by the time that you're watching it, we're going to do another big trading competition. It's not really a competition. It's just depending on how much you trade, you get extra bonuses. We've been talking about it in the Telegram, in the whale chat specifically, and I think we're going to do a Bitcoin bonus. So at the end of it, you can get potentially thousands of dollars in Bitcoin for free. Some people are saying that they liked it because they went and longed the bonus, and it was just like risk-free essentially because there's just free money in the first place. So you can check this out underneath the video. Of course, I have to give you the disclaimers, then we'll get into it. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. Do your own research. I'm never going to reach out to you either in the comment section or through any other means to try to get you to invest in something that I'm investing in or to send me crypto. Some links underneath the video are affiliate links. I may earn a commission, but this is at no extra cost to you. Of course, do your own due diligence. Brian, thanks so much for coming back on the channel. I have you linked underneath the video. Appreciate you being here.
Dude, love being here. Love being here.
Yeah. Maybe for everyone that doesn't know much about your background, you could give us a little introduction.
Yeah. So I'm 33. I live in California. I bought Bitcoin in 2015 because I don't like fiat money. And as I got, more and more orange pilled on the philosophy of the movement, I just loved it. Learned all about it on YouTube. And so kind of had two halves of my career. One was doing local political campaigns, and the second half of my career was working for Bitcoin startups. And now I'm kind of on this very, very early beginning of this third chapter of, talking on YouTube a little more seriously about just, life and Bitcoin personal finances.
That's awesome. And I know you kind of talked about this in a recent video. Totally okay if you don't want to talk about this, but you mentioned your net worth. And I feel like there's no one that talks about that, especially anyone that's OG crypto. They just don't, maybe they whisper it to a best friend or something that's in a similar position to them, but no one talks about that. Do you mind mentioning that? And then kind of walking through how you accumulated it, how you've started to reinvest in different areas, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it. And I've thought about this for a long time. And so in personal finance in general, I think the beauty of YouTube and talking to people is you can find people that are at very specific time points that you are. And we're kind of past the period of where personal finance advice is basically blanketed for one set of people and then blanketed for up here. And there's really only wealthy personal finance and other personal finance. And it's no, I love YouTube and love sitting, my brain right now is very at the intersection of kind of two worlds. I feel we're right around 2 million, and I want to scale that to 5 million by 2030. And that's just, I feel like that's a really interesting thing. And honestly, I was inspired by another YouTuber that I should shout out. Steven, he's a pharmacist. He built up a really high net worth all through apartment buildings, and he's still works as W2 as a pharmacist. And I just love, I love, it was really cool meeting him in person, and he is a great example of someone who's just a really interesting guy who doesn't all have his influencer funnels all dialed in perfectly of all this stuff. He's just talking about really direct personal finance of someone who works a great paying W2 and has made really great investing decisions. And so that's how, I feel like that's how it is for my wife and I, just with crypto like as our kind of main driving force, and then real estate sprinkled in there too. But yeah.
That's awesome. I've actually seen his channel before. I've watched a couple of his videos. Just like they randomly popped up because they got really popular. I think a handful of them. Maybe you can kind of we'll go into Bitcoin here in a second because obviously you've studied Bitcoin probably longer than anyone on this channel and in more depth. But like for a lot of people, I talk about diversification. I think it's hard for people maybe starting their career, or maybe they make like $50,000 a year, $70,000 a year. They're always told that they need to get to like 0.21 Bitcoin or 1 Bitcoin. It's really hard to diversify because they feel like they keep on getting told that Bitcoin's going to be at 150 or 200,000. So like there's no room for putting money into multiple buckets and still hitting their
Sure.
goal. So how would you weigh that? How do you dollar cost average, or like how do you also put money away for real estate or to put in your 401k because you get 100% bonus, or like
Yeah.
how do you go about that?
So I did a video of like what I would do if I was starting over with $100,000, and what I would do. So that portfolio is basically buying $25,000 of spot regular Bitcoin, $25,000 of BTCI, which is like a partial Bitcoin upside, but some partial monthly like dividend income. And then I would say $50,000 towards like getting your first house hack. So,
Okay.
and then that way you're covering your primary residence and you're like starting to build up equity in a house. And I would house hack like and get other people to pay for the other rooms and drive your mortgage costs now below what you ever were previously renting. So now you have a cash flow savings there. And people need to understand this: to get started with like your primary residence, you don't have to put 20% down. Like, stop believing you have to put 20% down. If you want to put down 10%, awesome. I think a really sweet spot is 5%. Like a really sweet spot, like, and from a lot of the houses we bought is up 5%. So imagine 5% down, 50,000. Most people can find also, if it's really hard to go new builds, like look for the new build townhomes that are trading where you can get 5% down 50,000 or 10% down 50,000 new build townhomes, 2 or 3 bedroom house, 3 bedroom house, rent out the other 2 rooms, drive your mortgage costs below whatever you were renting for. That's cash flow savings. Then $25,000 into BTCI, some Bitcoin upside, some cash flow now in from that. Now you have 2 forms of passive income, and you got around a quarter of a Bitcoin, and that becomes your like fortress that you build up from.
I love it. House hacking is awesome too because it's really difficult to buy cash flowing properties that actually cash flow right now. Even like in the Midwest, it's like with insurance prices going up so drastically, and with I'd just say the real estate market not appreciating very much recently, it's been really difficult to make real money. But with house hacking, you build equity, you also get appreciation, but also, like you said, the cost of living is just lower. So it's like automatic.
It's
wins.
the day one cash flow savings. Exactly. Like day one cash flow savings. I actually came to this realization the other day that it was like, if I was to actually like, hey Brian, what are you the best at with like investing or personal finance or whatever? I think it's actually like managing cash flow. Like, I think that's all actually always where my brain has been of like, look, you responsibly roll 0% credit card offers when they get mailed to you, balance transfers? Yes, you can. And yes, you should like know how to work that game. Like, should you run the numbers on renting versus owning? Yes, you should. But you shouldn't get so dialed into one spreadsheet way of doing it that you're like, oh my God, the insurance and maintenance increases of the da 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 make renting better forever. Like, I don't like, you have to be in the spreadsheet, but not be in the spreadsheet. And it's just like, look, if straight up you can own your own home and get 2 people to rent the other rooms, and then your out-of-pocket housing cost is now $800 instead of the $1,200 you were renting at. I don't care what XYZ other person's spreadsheet says, you just made $400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that matters to someone who has $100,000 to invest. I still care. Like, I super care about $400 a month. Like, I'm scouring my spreadsheet every single month trying to create the next 400 a month.
I love it. And one of the things you mentioned there is BTCI. I think a lot of people probably don't know what that is, so maybe you can just explain it.
Yeah. So, zooming out, so you have spot Bitcoin. Everyone knows about spot Bitcoin, and then regular spot Bitcoin ETFs all came out, and now there's 11 of them from all the different companies, right? And those track the price of Bitcoin directly. Okay. At the same time, a different type of like ETF, like covered call ETFs, where they automatically sell away some of the upside for you to collect a premium today, have happened. And so now these are everywhere. Like YieldMax is an example of a very popular company that does this on a lot of different stocks. And so Misty was a very popular one that kind of flooded through Bitcoin Twitter like for a little bit. And then you run smack dab into this conversation of the kind of like, well, you're getting a monthly payment from these covered calls, but the value of the stock is like going down. Like, what's the whole deal here? So I didn't jump on the Misty train. I have purposely tried, and I'm circling all the way to BTCI. I've purposely tried to kind of stay very neutral on MicroStrategy. I try to not over listen to information. I try to just absorb it from other people. And so when I had a good friend tell me that, so I saw all the buzz online about Misty, and then I had a good friend tell me that he had held Misty, and it was creating passive income that was allowing him to early retire effectively. I just left like working. And so now I'm pivoting more towards income investing. And so all this organically came together for me to start becoming an income investor after several years of being focused on like Bitcoin and like Bitcoin financial services. So I was like, okay, Misty sounds awesome. That sounds interesting, but I don't want to do it on MicroStrategy. Can I just do it on Bitcoin? So then I searched the possibilities for Bitcoin covered call funds, and boom, a company called NEOS, stands for Next Evolution Option Strategies. You can listen to interviews with the fund managers here on YouTube. They have the largest one of these right now, which is called BTCI. It has about 850 million assets under management. They hold spot Bitcoin ETFs, and then they sell covered calls on part of the portfolio. So not the entire portfolio, just part of the portfolio. And they target around a 27% distribution annually, and then that pays monthly. And so that to me is like a good, because I was like, I still want the upside of Bitcoin. I still structurally believe in the upside of Bitcoin. I still structurally believe in the downside of fiat money, totally. But and the whole diversification and income streams are now more important organically to my life, because I'm trying to create more passive income to replace previous W-2 income and start to lean into a different period of my life. So I'm searching for a solution here. BTCI is a hybrid of some Bitcoin upside with some monthly income, but they don't jam the monthly income so high that you get into these weird like NAV erosion discussions.
That makes sense. I feel like after the bear market, so many people hear 100% dividend yield, and they're like alarm bells going off. Even 20%, they might be like, that's too good to be true. And a lot of people maybe don't understand options, and they hear options and they think, well, that's just like a super risky bet, right? But this is the opposite of that. Instead of buying something that's really cheap that maybe goes up a lot but probably will go down to zero, you're selling that option to other people, essentially, or the ETF does it. So you're taking away some upside, as you said, but you get paid monthly. I've seen your videos where you said you're going all in on it. Now, obviously, you're not like 100% in it, but how are you approaching that? Like, I see that you're building up a portfolio. I think you said you've bought twice. Are you going to continuously add to this, or just like drip the dividends back in? Like, any new income is just earmarked for that?
Great question. So I'm going all in on BTCI as like the cornerstone of my new dividend portfolio. And I'm not like buying the dip really on like spot Bitcoin, because I'm focusing all efforts on building up this dividend portfolio is what I mean by that. The other reason why I'm saying I'm going all in on BTCI is because I'm trying to stem the questions. I'm getting a lot of questions in the comments right now that are like, what about this ticker symbol that does loosely the same thing? What about this one that does loosely the same thing? And I'm just trying to blanket answer that like, all of those can be good or can be bad or whatever. My methodology for arriving at this was simple. Any other ticker symbol, if it was not a covered call strategy, I just didn't understand how it worked, and I just put it in a different bucket. And then if it was like a, hey, they have 50 million or 150 million assets under management from some other, like, I was like, that's just why I'm not going to go with the small one. I'm going to go with the main breakout one. Yeah. And BlackRock and ARK Invest have already announced that they're going to make this same type of fund also. So I'm going to go with the main third-party non-household name one that has grown the category and been the biggest. And that I like the interviews on YouTube of like what they're saying. So that's where that's coming from. The one thing that has been new that I'll add new, just so that people like are aware, I mentioned how I try to stay very neutral in MicroStrategy and I try to not go so deep down the rabbit hole that I'm like reporting on everything. Stretch STRC from MicroStrategy rounds out my risk curve now. So the risk curve is Bitcoin all the way at the most up and down, most upside, no current income. BTCI sits in the middle, some upside, some income. Stretch strips out away all of the Bitcoin volatility and pays around a 10% annual distribution out monthly. And so now the portion that I was going to keep in BTCI to create the monthly income and like the backup emergency fund USD now has a home in like Stretch. And both of those combined now are what's going to like fuel this like new dividend portfolio that I'm building. And I'm not in a rush to immediately throw this all together like before the end of the year. Like I'm moving into this for like 2026. And really that entire risk curve really started to lock in for me, honestly, this week. And then just one more thing. My goal isn't to like become the guy that compares all the ticker symbols. That's the other reason why I'm saying all in. Like my goal is not to be the guy that compares all the ticker symbols. I'm not trying to be the this versus this versus this guy. Like I'm really trying to be like my literal goal is to replace W2 income. I'm using this Bitcoin risk curve to replace W2 income.
I think that's very mature because a lot of the time when you start investing, you are looking at companies left and right and you're like, it's just better to diversify. So I'm going to buy 50 growth stocks instead of buying 4. And it's like, you have so much more stress, so much more work, so much more to pay attention to, and the results aren't any better. So why would you go with an inferior product just to have diversification? I almost feel like there should be a Bitcoin income advisor, right? There are all these like financial advisors that help you diversify. But like if someone was saying, I want to build up $5,000 a month in passive income from Bitcoin funds, this is like I'm worth $3 million. How do I do that with the cash I have available or something like that? Could be an interesting business model, obviously like risky, but
well, look, okay. I mean, so the fact that you brought it up, so my channel membership is $3 a month, and we have a private Discord chat where it is that. Like we call it the Bitcoin personal finance think tank. I'm trying to bring together like the smartest people on the internet, like, because I love both sides of YouTube that are gonna jam it out of like, again, we're not trying to just compare all the ticker symbols for the sake of comparing ticker symbols. We're trying to create Bitcoin related like passive income. And that's really a good crew is really starting to develop.
That's cool. Yeah. Go check out Brian's channel so that you can click on that and take a look at it. There is someone that's on YouTube too that I think he has a $1 million a year dividend portfolio through YieldMax, which is just like, it's interesting. I subscribe to them, but I don't really watch too many of their channels, their videos, but it's fascinating to like see that happen. And it's matured, I think, from like maybe a couple 100,000 5 years ago. And now it's like $1 million or something, but there's some really high dividend ETFs out there compared to what you're looking at.
No, for sure. I've subscribed to a couple of those channels too. My current rabbit hole is starting to watch dividend guys because I like to get that world and I like to hear the way that they talk about Bitcoin and crypto. The one thing that I have found, which I think is interesting, is I was looking at one guy's thumbnail and I was like, there's no way that's right. And I clicked on it and he's from Canada. And so I'm just like, are you putting Canadian dollars on this thumbnail right now? I'm just in a, like, yeah. And so I don't know. I'm in a big like filtering through the loop right now of like who I'm listening and who I'm not.
Yeah. A lot of the time too, they'll say like $100,000 a month dividend portfolio, but they're talking about like they have $100,000 in their portfolio and it pays monthly dividends. Like
absolutely. And there's also some people that they're like, yeah, I can't tell if like, is this a hypothetical spreadsheet you put together, or are you like actually doing this? And that's why I'm trying to like, I'm trying to put like screenshots of Fidelity of the like, this is what, and yeah, it just because I'm trying to feel this out in real time with my own money, and this is a real thing I'm doing in my like my life.
Something that stood out to me is that you said you're not like rushing to get it done or to like fill it up,
Yeah,
get your portfolio set. I feel like that's a huge difference between people that have already built up wealth and then people that are like trying to stack vigorously before like the next big move. And
yeah,
I don't mean to put myself in that same group or pat myself on the back, but like once you have some wealth, you can dollar cost average into stuff and you can hold a little bit extra cash if you need to. And like you don't have to rush towards anything, which I think is huge, because otherwise you just get on that treadmill of like, I need to put $5,000 in this random stock that I just read about,
yeah,
or like I need to go all in on MicroStrategy because otherwise it's going to be $1,000 by the end of the year. And then you just start doing that over and over, and then it dumps, and then maybe you like throw in extra money and it dumps more. And I feel like that's
yeah,
why a lot of people leave crypto in the first place, is they feel that FOMO, throw money in,
yeah,
it dumps 80%, and it keeps on going until eventually they capitulate, which I just love that you mentioned that. I feel like more people need to do that, even if you're just starting your wealth building journey. Like put out the
yeah,
emergency fund, have money set aside for a month or two, 3 months, 4 months, and then start dollar cost averaging better.
yeah. No, practicing patience like is big. Like yeah, it's big.
That's the big thing about being in a Patreon. I think like you can keep your head on straight a little bit better than just seeing everyone being so hyperbolic on YouTube or in Twitter or something like that. Maybe last question for you. Can you tell me the magic of 0.21 Bitcoin? Is it still magical with the price at where it is
Yeah,
now, or
yeah.
has that number changed?
Yeah, so 0.21 is still like the core position that I think everyone should have. And the reason is because when you take 21 million divided by 0.21, it gets 100 million. In a world of 8 billion people, being in the top 100 million Bitcoin holder puts you in the top 1% of the world. So like that is set, and like that's a thing, and that's the magic of 0.21. Now, when I like go around and I'm just like talking to different like I'm on a really big kick right now, just like just in the suburbs, just like talking to people, and I'm like, look, this is literally my line. And this is, I would encourage people to use this at Thanksgiving. Like, this is your Thanksgiving line with your uncle that you've been talking to 4 years in a row about this. Like, this is the line. You come in as just the chill. You've already done the hyper like version in the old years. Now this year, it's like, look, here's the deal. Someone that's doing as well as you, like at life, should have a quarter of a Bitcoin. Like, that's just a thing. Like, look, Trump and all this stuff now, it's off to the races. Like, it's becoming a global thing. Like, someone doing as well as you should have a quarter of a Bitcoin as a core position. And in fact, like buying through the ETF is the easiest thing like in the world. BlackRock makes more money on their Bitcoin ETF than they do on their S&P 500 ETF. This is the thing that's happening. And then boom, you're just like, and the quarter of a Bitcoin thing is almost just a throwaway line where it's like, do we want people to have a quarter of a Bitcoin on-chain Bitcoin? Absolutely. Like 100%. Like, that's still really important, and people should do that. Also, people should understand that they don't have to open up a random new account, just wherever they're already doing their stocks, wherever they're already randomly doing their portfolio. And this is the other thing, beautiful thing now too. If you know they're in a period of life where income matters to them because they are in like a period of retirement, or they're not actively working or whatever, I think being very mature and saying like BTCI is like a random new thing. You're like, hey, you know what? I heard you last year where you're saying like the growth of Bitcoin just isn't really that exciting to you. You know what? And you're honest. Like, Bitcoin has like kind of underperformed the regular stock market this year. You know what? They're actually like having really cool and interesting hybrid Bitcoin income funds now. Like, that makes you sound like a really, like, you heard what they were saying and you're mixing it with everything that you know and meeting them where they're at. That's cool to me.
That's great. Now, everyone that's watching, you can go binge Brian's video so that you can get read up on BTCI or listened up on BTCI ahead of Thanksgiving. Brian, thanks so much again for coming back on the channel. Again, I'll have all your information linked underneath.
Yeah, dude. See you more soon. See you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.